Is Sjogren syndrome taking over your life? Are you desperate to find a solution to your joint pain, chronic fatigue, and digestion issues? Are you burnt out trying to find relief from autoimmune disease symptoms but nothing works? If you are looking for answers, this episode is for you. I am excited to introduce you to Divya Dhawan, but you may know her as the Sjogren's Queen. She is a functional health practitioner who overcame debilitating Sjogren symptoms, and for years she struggled with severe fatigue, joint pain, dry mouth, and brain fog that made it hard to get through the day, let alone build a successful career or live a full life. After a long search for answers, she was finally diagnosed with Sjogren's syndrome. Her doctors prescribed medications, but Divya knew there had to be more to this than just masking symptoms. So she made a choice. She would take control of her health and find a solution that addressed the root cause, not just symptoms. That decision led her to functional health, where she dove deep into nutrition, lifestyle, and natural healing methods. Within a year, she went into remission, no longer relying on medications or feeling drained by autoimmune symptoms. Divya is on a mission to help high-achieving women and moms who are suffering from Sjogren's and other autoimmune diseases break free from the cycle she was in. She teaches women how to heal from the inside out in her program to restore their energy, balance their bodies, and reclaim their lives through science-backed holistic approaches so they can live the vibrant, energized life they were meant to live. If you are tired of living in pain or exhaustion, if you have been told medication is the only solution, Divya is here to tell you there is another way. You have the power to heal yourself. Have you tried everything to eliminate autoimmune symptoms like joint pain and digestion issues without relief? Are you struggling to keep up with the demands of life due to chronic fatigue? Does chronic pain keep you from doing the things you love in life? If you are feeling defeated and hopeless, you are not alone. I am Ashley Cavolo, a busy working mom who once struggled with debilitating autoimmune symptoms. I too felt like giving up after trying every possible solution without relief from symptoms like joint pain and stiffness, painful digestion issues, relentless chronic fatigue, and embarrassing brain fog. Until it was time to stop allowing the pain to control my life. I dove into the root cause of autoimmune diseases and was shocked to find the answer is not found in endless doctor visits, harsh medications, expensive supplements, or strict food lists. The secret to healing autoimmune symptoms is found within the specific habits that reduce inflammation and heal symptoms quickly and naturally. I applied what I learned and found relief from my symptoms in a matter of weeks. 7 years later, I am living a pain-free life free of autoimmune symptoms. I turned this discovery into a self-paced program called the Autoimmune Reboot, where I share my secrets and my step-by-step process to help you heal your symptoms quickly so you can live a pain-free life. This podcast is for you if you are ready to eliminate joint pain so you can jump out of bed every morning pain-free. Heal and maintain a healthy gut so you can enjoy your favorite foods again without that uncomfortable bloat. Go from no energy and endless coffee breaks to an abundance of natural energy and stamina to tackle the day. Eliminate uncomfortable autoimmune symptoms such as bloating, brain fog, constipation, diarrhea, digestion pain, inflammation, joint stiffness, skin rashes, and many more. Living a pain-free life is easier and closer than you think. I can't wait to show you what I discovered. Refresh your coffee and let's dive in. Welcome, Divya, to the show. I am so happy to have you today. You have an amazing story. Divya, you are a functional health practitioner who overcame debilitating Sjogren symptoms. How did you get here today? Tell us about your story.
Thank you so much for having me on your show. I'm so excited to talk about Sjogren's and raise awareness about it. Importantly, I raise awareness about the hope that if you are placed with a diagnosis of any autoimmune condition, not just Sjogren's, there is hope for you. That is not the end of your life from that point on. So thank you so much for having me. As far as my story goes, I was diagnosed 12 years ago with Sjogren's disease. And when I was diagnosed, I was having completely debilitating pain in each and every joint in my body and each and every muscle in my body. So you can imagine, not a single muscle that was not hurting, not a single joint that was, movable. So I was completely debilitated. I had puffy, dry eyes. I used to get these weird ulcers in the cornea of my eyes. And I, of course, did not get any answers. All I got was fear mongering that it could be cancer, it could be lymphoma, it could be whatever. So when I was diagnosed, that was a moment when I was happy. It was a really bittersweet moment because on one hand, I have the diagnosis and I'm like, okay, now I have the diagnosis. So now starts my road to the recovery, right? But when I asked my doctor now, what is the next step? How do we get better? How long, right? That's the first question. He's like, I'm sorry, we cannot cure this. There's no cure for this. You can only manage your symptoms. We can only give you medications that do that. But you have to live with this for your whole life. No, I'm not doing that. Now, I do have a little bit of experience from my mom, who also was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. And of course, she had the same kind of answers from her doctors, but she was able to completely reverse her condition with the help of Ayurveda. So I knew that hope is there. So I knew that doing the right things, I can do that for myself too. So of course, I did not resort to Ayurveda, but I started doing my own research. I started looking into holistic living, even functional medicine. After doing all those things for a year, I was able to not just get mobility back in each and every joint in my body, and most importantly, the knees, because knees are the last to recover when you have this kind of issues going on, but also get off all the medications by the end of 1 year. And I have been in remissions ever since that time.
And how long ago was your diagnosis?
12 years ago.
So this is a long journey for you of learning to see what works. What was
Yeah.
that experience like, going through the trial and error? What worked for you? What didn't work?
Yeah, that part of healing of modern medicine doesn't want us to know. There are so many practitioners out there who are holistic, who are natural, who do try to spread the word about it, but we never hear it because of the kind of conditioning we have, because of the kind of media we have. They want us all focused on conventional medical system. And when I started doing my own research, it was like, oh, wow, so I can do this. So my body can heal itself. It knows how to do it. Because these are the things that most people would think when they come into this side of the healing, this side of the medicine. But our body really has the capability of doing all the healing, because that is what it is doing constantly on a daily basis.
Absolutely. And I found through my journey, it really came down to the basics, our foundational needs as human beings, like nature, sunlight, whole foods, sleep, all of those basic needs. They don't come up in a doctor's office traditionally. Once we crack the door open, that's how I say it. Once you crack the door open, we can't go backwards now that we see that little tiny glimpse of what could be.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely cannot go back. Growing up, I was a very scientific person. I have my bachelor's in biology, then my bachelor's in education. So I have a very scientific background. And when I did start working with my rheumatologist, I did take my medication for a year. Medication, completely throwing your medication in the trash is not what I'm suggesting here. So I was scientific. So the first thing that I asked my doctor was, tell me how the medicine works, because I want to know, right? What is the mechanism? Because every medicine has a mechanism that it works in the body with. And the answer that I got was really, really surprising. And the answer was, we don't really know how plaquenil works in the body. We haven't found that out yet, but because it works, we give it. And this question, actually, when I asked him, my question came with me asking him about a supplement. So I was like, I want to try this because I've done a lot of research, and that supplement is called Boswellia serrata. It is a ancient Ayurvedic herb, actually. It has n number of benefits. It not just heals your joints, it not just heals your inflammation, it not just heals your gut. It can do so many miraculous things. It has also, there are scientific studies on it, and it has the capability to also reverse cancer, by the way. Wow. So when I asked him, can I take this? His answer was, we don't know what it's going to do to your body. I was a scientific person, so I did my research and I saw everything. I saw whether it interacts with any medication or not, whether it has any side effects or not. I researched everything. And the answer that I got was, it does not react with anything at all. And my doctor said it could react. And then when I asked him, okay, so how does plaquenil work? Tell me that. And the answer was, we just gave it because it worked. So I know this is going to work. So let me start it. This is just one of the things that I did, along with so many other things that helped me start, my healing journey, really.
I love that perspective that you had going into that doctor's office.
Yeah. Thank you.
It's enlightening and it's also empowering, I
Mm-hmm.
imagine. I'm curious how this part of your journey led to you becoming a functional practitioner.
Yes. When I started my journey as a health coach, I got my certification from the Institute of Integrative Nutrition. So initially I got that certification, but by the end of the certification, I was like, whatever has been told, I already knew everything. It was a great course, but it does not satisfy my hunger for understanding how I can help my clients more. Then I started my journey into the functional medicine side. I studied at the Functional Diagnostic Nutrition Institute, and became a certified functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner. And that is when I found amazing details about how the body works, how the hormones work, how stress is related, how stress kind of is related to so many different body systems, to the digestion, to the hormonal system, all of it. And that was just my quest to help people more and more, as much as I can, in my practice as a functional medicine practitioner. So that is why I started getting into the functional side of health coaching. To start with, why did it ever start that I wanted to help people? There used to be a recurring theme whenever I used to meet family or friends or whatever. And everyone was like, we've been diagnosed with an autoimmune and it seems like we have to live with this forever. And I'm like, my eyes were wide open, but I just couldn't say anything to them. I knew that there is healing. The body can heal. When we give our body the fundamental things that the body needs, our body can heal. And then a few years down the line, I figured that was my calling. And that's how I became a health coach and then became a functional health coach.
I love that. So, how are you combining the naturopath with the scientific?
Everything is scientific. How the adrenals work, how the gut microbiome reacts to certain foods, to certain situations. All of that is scientific. It's backed by scientific studies. So, as a functional practitioner, I cannot diagnose, I cannot prescribe. That is out of my scope of practice. But we can find out what are the underlying imbalances in the body which are not being addressed. Because for most of the people who have Sjogren's, for most of my clients, for example, there are gut toxins involved. There is gut microbiome imbalance involved, leaky gut involved, malabsorption issues with the nutrients involved, and then mineral imbalances as well. All of this is scientific. As much as the world wants everyone to believe that it is not, all of this is scientific. There are scientific studies behind it.
I love that. That is what changed my mind, was seeing there is science behind it. This is proof. What are some of the common symptoms you're seeing with patients who come to see you?
Brain fog is the biggest thing that comes up for them. And of course, dry eyes and dry mouth is something that drives them crazy, because all they're given is something like pilocarpine, which helps with the release of saliva, but this also gives them a lot of sweating. Very uncomfortable. It's not really addressing the root cause. Apart from that, joint pains and chronic fatigue.
And what are some of your first steps looking into these issues with your patients?
So the very first steps for me is doing the functional labs for them. Most likely, but not always. What I do is I do the gut health test. I do the blood chemistry. The blood chemistry can give us so many clues that the conventional medical system is actually ignoring. So I look into that as well. WBC being high, for example, one of my clients, her WBCs were always high since she was 20 years old. That gave a clue into what is going on in the body. There was some infection that was not being addressed. So gut health testing, blood chemistry, and then gut toxin panel, and then the mineral testing. These are the very basic. And then depending on the case, it could be more or less. The very basic of the cell, how the cell in our body works. The cell is the smallest unit inside our body. That is, many cells together form a tissue, and the tissue, many tissues together form the organ. That's a very basic, we learn at high school level, right? Now, the cell works with very basic elements, which are calcium, magnesium, sodium, and potassium. These are the four main, because there are sodium potassium pumps, which are used by the cell to transport all the nutrients, including water, inside and outside of the cell. But because of several reasons, our water being devoid of all those minerals being one, the cell can be deficient in these nutrients. And these are not just the only nutrients that we're talking about when we talk about the minerals at the cellular level. Just for the ease of understanding, I'm keeping it to these four. But there are all these minerals, when they are deficient in the cell just cannot function. There's no way the cell can function properly. And what happens after that is the cell slowly starts dying. And when the cell starts dying, it is called necrosis. And that is when we see the downfall of so many metabolic systems in the body. HTMA is a very, very simple test, non-invasive, but at the same time, state-of-the-art test. This is a hair tissue mineral analysis test. So we use your hair to understand what are the minerals that your hair is storing, because hair stores the minerals at the cellular level for a longer time than your blood or your urine. And it is more testable because whatever is in the blood is transient. Whatever is in the urine is really what the body is excreting. It is not storing. But what is in the hair is what our body is storing. We want to go into the cells of your hair and see what minerals do they have. And when we find the deficiencies happening, we want to rebalance those minerals, remove the heavy metals, remove the bad metals. And when that is done, the cells start functioning properly. You will see huge results in terms of, like, the first thing you will see, your brain fog is lifting, your anxiety is going away, you're having more energy in the day, because these things are never addressed by the conventional medical system, right? We are just given, if you have brain fog, here, take Adderall. So that doesn't work.
What is different in your approach to treating somebody diagnosed with Sjogren's?
As a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner, I do not treat anything in the people who come to me. So I'm not treating their fatigue. I'm not treating their brain fog. I'm not treating their joint pains. What I'm doing is I'm trying to find out why is that happening in the first place, right? So we have to understand the body is not lame. It's not just overreacting. Our body is really intelligent. It is just trying to compensate for an imbalance somewhere in the body when it is showing up those symptoms. So if we have the brain fog, I want to understand why is the brain fog happening in the first place. There could be many reasons. Mineral depletion is one of the top reasons. The other reasons could be too much cortisol or too low cortisol in the body. And it could also be imbalance in the gut bacteria and insulin resistance as well. So I want to find out why. Why is this happening in your body? And then we address those, fix those with the help of diet and lifestyle and targeted supplements, which work for you, because we test what your body needs. And that is how we fix the problems, not by slapping band-aids or medications at all.
We don't think about what we're putting into our body, how we're reacting to situations with stress, and how it's affecting us down to the cellular level. We don't think like that in our day-to-day life. So I think this is an amazing reminder to start being a little more aware of how we're treating our body. What do you see as some of the most common mistakes women especially are making in their lives when it comes to autoimmune health and Sjogren's diagnosis?
I think in general, if you think about women, we are always told that we need to stay thin. In order to stay thin, we are supposed to eat less and we are supposed to eat low fat. Biggest mistakes. In order to stay thin, we are not supposed to eat less. We're supposed to eat more, because the body knows how to compensate. When you eat less, your body will stop burning the amount of calories that it needs to burn on a regular basis for all its metabolic reactions that happen on a daily basis. So what will happen is it will start storing the fat in the body. Now, this is relevant to not just Sjogren's, but also women in general. And then low fat. What happens when you eat low fat? The reality is our body needs good fat. Our heart needs good fat to function. Our muscles need good fat to function. Our hormone system needs cholesterol, right? If you do not have good cholesterol in your body, which comes from good fats, your hormone system will be a mess. And that will lead into other issues, because, there's no one thing happens in the body in isolation. So if these things are happening, this will affect your hormone system, and this will affect your cellular health. This will affect your minerals, everything.
I know you've created the Sjogren's reset method. Can you explain a little bit about that and tell us how it differs from traditional treatments and why is it more effective for long-term healing?
I always love talking about it because this is a repeatable, proven system that I've created based on my experience and something that I use with my clients as well. This is different from the conventional medical system or the conventional medical treatment for Sjogren's in a way that We are not giving you band-aids. We are not giving you medications. We are not treating you or treating your Sjogren's. What we're doing is we are going inside your body systems and trying to understand where the imbalance is, right? For Sjogren's, most often than not, there is a lot of gut health issues going on. There is a lot of gut toxins build up, and there is a lot of mineral imbalance apart from, and these are just the main things. There can be many other things going on, right? So this is what I've seen in my practice. So what we do in my practice is that there are three main things that we do. We replenish the cellular health with the help of mineral balancing. So that is the first thing we do. We replenish the cellular strength. Second, we rebuild the gut health, because gut is the center of all health according to Ayurveda. And that is what I learned in my journey, that if your gut health is not good, your overall health cannot be good. It controls the hormones, it controls the immune system, it controls everything. So we need to take care of that. And then the third pillar, or the third process that I use in my Sjogren's reset method, is to help the body release all the toxins, so that these toxins, which are holding the immune system hostage, can now be out of our system and the body can start doing the healing for itself.
Thank you so much. When I treated the gut first, everything else fell in line. It was really incredible. I know it's different for everybody, but I was shocked at how fast my body began to heal once I healed the gut first.
We all need to just take charge of our health and stop outsourcing it to the medical system.
Absolutely. I ask this question in every interview. What do you say to the people who believe that you cannot heal?
Well, I'll ask them, cut on your finger, what happens? It is able to heal miraculously in 2 days. Then how are you being told that, you can't heal? Very simple, the body just knows what to do. So there's no way the body doesn't know how to heal from Sjogren's as well.
Thank you so much. Where can the listeners connect with you?
I am on Instagram. My name is Sjogren's Queen. I'm on LinkedIn as well. I have my page on LinkedIn called Sjogren Solution. And then on my page on Facebook as well is called Sjogren Solution. But you can also find me as Divya Dhawan on Facebook. That's my private page. And then for listeners who are curious how they can get in touch with me for a free consultation, I do offer a complimentary 15-minute session just to help them understand the next steps for their Sjogren's, if they're interested in doing that. And that's available on all my social media channels as well.
Divya, thank you so much. I appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me. I love talking about it.
I hope this podcast has helped you in your autoimmune journey. If you find value and inspiration in this episode, please leave a 5-star rating and review and share the episode with a friend. When you do, you are helping this podcast reach people around the world who are ready to live a pain-free life. The information and opinions shared in this podcast are for educational and informational purposes only. The content within this podcast is not a substitute for professional care. Always seek the advice of a physician or medical professional to answer health-related questions. Implementing the advice shared on this podcast should be done at your own risk. Actions taken by listeners as a result of the content shared on this podcast is not the responsibility of the host or creator. This podcast does not endorse and is not affiliated with treatments or products mentioned in this podcast unless otherwise specified. Products or treatments shared in this podcast are for informational purposes only. Always seek the advice of a medical professional for answers to product or treatment questions. All content, including but not limited to text, graphics, logos, and material shared under the Autoimmune Reboot podcast, is protected by copyright and all applicable laws. Any kind of unauthorized distribution or use of this content is strictly prohibited and will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Listening to this podcast is acknowledging your agreement with these terms.